Okay, we're live.
All good?
Mm-hmm.
7 p.m. Central Time?
I'm not sure. But we're live, so we'll get started. Today's Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. The time is 5:11, and I call this meeting to order. We don't have any guests today, so 1.3 on our agenda is roll call. Brittany Barnes here, Bernadette Frietz here, Melissa Montiveros.
She'll be logging
Oh, I didn't realize that she wasn't on yet. Okay, we'll wait for her. Rios Fernandez and Charlotte Trujillo. Here. So we have a quorum.
On the agenda, didn't Melissa drop a name? The agenda.
Oh, yes, maybe I just didn't do it on the agenda. I had it on the minutes, but.
Yeah, she dropped a name. I don't know which one.
I think it was
It's
Toledo.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh. I don't know.
We'll ask her whenever she jumps on. And Justine Vihel, so we do actually have a guest, Justine Vihel, our business manager, is joining us online.
She dropped under that. I'm sorry, it's Melissa's really good.
Oh, okay. I did not know. Thank you. Okay, we didn't get any public comment, and I don't see anything in the chat, on the YouTube chat. If I could get or if we want to consider approval for today's agenda, everybody has that.
Can I make a suggestion that we move the executive director's report to before the action items? That way we're not going to executive session and then have to come back. And I think maybe some of that information might be good for us to hear before we go into executive session.
That makes total sense, Shar. I would second that. Do we have to vote on it?
So I make a motion,
Okay.
a motion to approve the agenda with moving the flip-flopping the executive director and action items. So executive director report would be number 5 and action items would be number 6.
I'll second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Brittany Barreras, yes. Bernadette Frietz?
Yes.
Is Melissa on yet? Not yet. Rios Fernandez
Yes.
and Charlotte Trujillo.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye. And the agenda is approved with that one change. And then if everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month, from the May 20th meeting, and if I could consider an approval on those.
I will move to approve the minutes from our last board meeting.
A second?
I'll second.
We'll do a roll call. Brittany Barreras, yes. Bernadette Frietz?
Yes.
Rios Fernandez
Yes.
and Charlotte Trujillo
I'm sorry, who took the?
I moved Rio second.
for
For
the
the minutes.
minutes. And for the approval of the agenda with the change, it was, and
Yes.
Bernadette seconded. I believe.
Thank you.
And then I'm sorry to keep going back for the approval of the minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. What's that?
Melissa's.
Oh, okay, great. So, Melissa, our last board member is like on a great vacation or something. That's a cool backdrop, Melissa. Thank you for joining us. So next on our agenda is going to be our executive director's report, number 5. Crystal, do you take your time whenever you're
All
ready?
right, so we ended the school year on May 29th, and it was quite wonderful. About a week after students left, my testing coordinator and I, we looked at all of the data, and so I created a one-pager for you guys on some of our data highlights. So for at the beginning of the year, I think you guys remember that I went to the PEC and I amended our accountability to be option 2, which is looking at NMASA, but also looking at the growth with NWEA. So looking at option 2. So we had 100% participation for both reading and math in NWEA. We had 89% of our students who met their growth goals for reading and 86% for math. We met the exceed score on our rubric, so yeah. So that was really exciting. You have, in order to meet exceeds, you have to have over 80% of our students. Students with disabilities met their growth goals. 81% of them did, which was pretty amazing for reading and for mathematics. We had 72% of our ELs meet their growth goals for reading and for math. Our biggest growth for NMASA came from our 8th graders. So last year, when they were in 7th grade at the end of the year, they were at 70% in the beginning steps. This year, they were at 40% at the beginning steps, followed with 54% nearing proficiency. So due to our current block schedule, data showed that students who had math on Tuesdays and Thursdays made smaller growth progress in comparison to those who had math Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. 8th grade actually had RTI all 5 days along with their regular math schedule. So this added up to 271 instructional minutes that they had in comparison to students who had 152 minutes of instructional time Tuesday, Thursdays, and then 228 minutes for the kids that were Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. This growth is exciting because with the new master schedule that was created, all students will receive 250 core minutes a week with an extra 175 minutes of RTI, equating to 425 minutes dedicated to math next school year. So just to see that growth alone for mathematics in 8th grade is really exciting. You had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you had already made that decision.
Yes.
Or if it was because of the data, okay.
Nope. I made that decision as I was making the master schedule. I had been noticing some gaps. We were looking at middle of year data, and I just noticed that kids that were only going on Tuesdays and Thursdays for mathematics, they were not getting math Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then it's like having to start over again. And so communicating with the teachers also, they were a little frustrated as well with like the lack of like being able to kind of move forward. And data showed that. So the one thing that I really wanted for our new master schedule was just consistency with instructional minutes across all core content areas, because yes, math is extremely important, but so is humanities and so is science. And we need to dedicate equity amongst all core subjects, all subjects rather. So 29% of our 8th graders scored proficiency, followed by 58% nearing proficiency in the ASR test. So that's the test that they take for 8th grade. As compared to 24% proficiency last year and then 60% nearing proficiency. So there was growth for science this year. There was no movement for our ELs, students for access testing. So nobody exited. And so as mentioned before, our current schedule, so the master schedule was changed for several reasons. But one of them also was that there wasn't a lot of opportunity for our ELs in our bilingual program to really grow. Because currently, we have one teacher who's teaching bilingual for 45 minutes and ELD for 45 minutes, while the rest of the school is doing reading intervention for the hour and a half. So even during that transition time, there's just a lot of interruption. It's because not all the bilingual kids they're not ELs. Some of them just like to be in the program. Additionally, she was teaching 6th, 7th, 8th grade math. So she was doing 6th, 7th, 8th grade math for elective, bilingual, and ELD. So she was teaching 6 sections in comparison to other teachers who were not teaching that much. So I believe that based on the data, looking at historical trends, there wasn't any movement for bilingual or for ELs. So what I did was when I posted for the humanities position, I was specifically looking for somebody who was teaching first. The vision was to separate bilingual and TESOL so that she could only focus on bilingual. And so what she will do is she will have 1 hour of bilingual with the kiddos, and the humanities teacher that I just hired, he will be doing ELD. So our kids are getting serviced, and there's more equity across the board. So my hope is that we'll see some more movement with that. So there's a plan for that. Do you have any questions?
Is this information public? like, are we bragging about this? Like on social media, the website, stuff that we could possibly use it for recruitment, of
I
these
have
students.
not, so we were supposed to submit this data by July first. It's already been submitted.
Okay.
I don't know what the rule is.
Right, I
Sure,
didn't know
what's the
either.
rule? Am I allowed to share this information? Because
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
it's public.
Because it's short cycle assessment, I mean, I would at least begin with like sharing it with parents. I'm sure you probably already have in some kind of newsletter or whatever.
Okay.
And then, yeah, as long as you're not, you know, putting
Well,
out
I'll let
any
you know, I
names
mean,
or anything.
and then the NMASA, I mean, the earlier we take the NMASA, the earlier we get our results. So it's.
So you haven't gotten those ones back
Yes.
though, right? Oh, you
Yeah,
get,
so
and
this is part of it. Mhm.
they're not important?
So, I don't believe so. I don't know. But that's why I'm hesitant on sharing the NMASA data
Yeah,
in comparison to NWEA. I'm
Yeah.
open to sharing NWEA because that's kind of.
I would say with the Nemasa data, if it's unembargoed, I mean, for sure, definitely, because it's gonna be on our, whatever our,
New Mexico vistas.
Yeah, New
it'll
Mexico
come out in like
Vista.
September, October.
yeah, but I would share it. I mean, as soon as that comes out, I would share the short cycle, as long as you're not putting out individual names or, there's probably certain ways that you would have to format, just
So
the
maybe-
overall in general, the growth and things like that. But I would say to your parents, you know, that's, you know, the more
In-house.
specific, yeah, you
Okay.
get, the better, I think, for them, because, but anything out on the social media platform or anything like that would be more general.
Okay,
And then
so I'll
maybe
just
even
stick with
say,
I'll only stick with NWEA.
Yeah.
Not NMASA. I'll
Yeah.
take that until. And I was talking to our testing coordinator and she was stating, so I looked at the proficiency. So we were at 10% proficiency for New Mexico vistas, right? And so we went down 1% from the year before that. So my number one question was like, where are we in proficiency with NASA? And so, she looked and we did the math, and so it's still at 10%. However, she was stating that we still get half points for every student who is nearing proficient. So based off the data for our 8th graders, 54% of them scored nearing proficient in that. So she said that we would get additional points for those students. So we really don't know exactly what our percentage is going to be.
Right.
So I can understand not actually sharing NASA data quite yet. But she was very hopeful that we're going to be
Yeah.
more than 10%.
there's at least gonna be an increase, right?
At least an increase. But right now, we kind of
We
broke
just don't know
even
exactly
with,
what it is.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the, do we know like how many students are ELL identified as?
33. Yes. Yes. And if you want, I can share the data with you all, that Nadine, our testing coordinator, shared with me.
I'm curious how many of those 33 are also special ed?
I don't know, it might be written on there. We were looking at them separately.
Yeah,
But we didn't
some
have
of
that
those kids,
conversation.
they count in like 4 different
Right,
categories.
right, there's a lot of,
Well, and is there like, so you're doing reading the same time that she's doing ELD and,
Bilingual.
so how many of those kids opted out of
Like
getting,
intervention.
right, ESL and they're getting special ed services or vice versa? Because it's at the same time, so what service are you giving, special ed or ESL?
So with those specific kiddos, they were, the special ed teacher worked with them to get their minutes, service their minutes
In the ESL setting?
in a different setting. So for the students because ELD also still
Yeah.
is required, but SPED is also required, so the
So
kids
they're not
that were
missing out on
bilingual,
either, they're getting it.
they were getting it separately. Yeah, so during the bilingual time, that's when they would go to their special ed class to get their minutes service. And then whenever the bell rang after the 45 minutes, they went to ELD. So we were still meeting that need that they had. And we made sure that their minutes were met for SPED. So, yeah. And there were a lot of kids who were in bilingual, who were in SPED, but I was like, you have special ed first. It's a priority.
Yeah.
So,
I like that you always have like, a ton of data, like, and you compare it to like historical data. So, with what you have here, do you see any big changes for planning, next year? Like, how are you feeling about that part, like
well,
the direction that we're headed, basically?
I'm really excited because it's going back to just the master schedule. Even just the day-to-day is gonna look completely different. And there's a lot more focus. So we're doing community and career pathways. And even the way the master schedule is built, we ended up putting that class period, first period of the day, to kind of work on our attendance initiative because our kids really liked their electives. And so the hope is that this kind of really continues to build on our attendance initiative. And then at the end of the day, the last hour and a half of the day is where we still have reading intervention. So that's not going away. I mean, we're having really good success with reading. I have to attribute a lot of the success also with our after-school program. So another really exciting thing is we got we were awarded $115,000 with 21st Century to date. And we also got $30,000 for OST. So that means that our after-school program is we're gonna continue to be able to build on what we started last year. And so shout out to Nora, our coordinator. You know, she worked really well with making sure there was continuity between what we were doing during the day and going into the after school program with the stuff that they needed to do. She made sure that there was math tutoring going on. She made sure that reading was still being done. There was a lot of intentional planning on her behalf with that. And I firmly believe that that's actually what attributed to a lot of the successes of this school year. So yes, the master schedule, the way it's structured, and all teachers have the same prep periods, you know, like we're gonna continue to build on their collaboration time. So that's really exciting. And then now, especially with the breakup of bilingual and breakup of ELD, that's what I'm probably most excited about, to see the data after. Because this has been, the current schedule has been like this for several years and there just hasn't been a lot of it. So to shake it up a little bit and meet their needs, I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for you too, because I've always been a proponent of that type of schedule. I've never been a big fan of block scheduling for some things maybe, but it leaves real big gaps of time when they're trying to get back into the same thing. It's almost like you said, starting over every week.
I do have one question for the reading interventions. Who's doing that?
So what we do is we do our short cycle assessment, NWEA, the second week of August. So then my dean of students and I, we separate the students based off their RIG scores. And each teacher has a group of students, a cohort of students that all kind of are at the same reading level. And so we have 5 teachers, 5 different groups. Usually our lowest group of students are like at the 3rd, 4th grade reading level, 5th grade reading level. And then we've had really high readers. We had a 6th grader, we had a 6th grader this year who was at who scored a 230, like by the middle of the year. And she was higher than any 8th grade. She was just so smart. But that's what I will say is like our kids, whenever they did the MOI, they were so excited about knowing their number. And we did an assembly on Know Your Number, and I talked to you guys about that. And even for EOI, they wanted to know each other's number. But going back to how it works is so they get their RIG score, they're placed, and at that time, that's when special ed get their students. And that's the only time students will be separated from their peers. The rest of the day, it's full inclusion. So after the trimester, then we do a progress test in NWEA, and then we get the new numbers, and then he and I recreate the groups again, and the teachers just cycle through. So if they taught the lowest group, then they go up and teach the highest group and kind of like
So the interventions are happening in the classroom.
in the classroom.
Okay, and then my second question to that is, are teachers just focusing on fluency, comprehension, or are they doing it based on the science of reading?
So as the science of reading, so they started doing that in 2020, right? So they started doing that, they started with kindergarten and then they moved up to first grade. It's the best PD that has ever been provided from the state, not gonna lie, it's been awesome. So it's a lot of work for the teachers, but right now, as of last school year, they started doing Ames Pathway. So Ames Pathway is the secondary version of the science of reading. So secondary teachers typically aren't really equipped to
Or is it
teach
like
specific
Spire?
skills.
Is that what you're referring to? They have some of those Spire at the middle school level, or is that a different thing?
So so every teacher here uses something different. And so there used to be something that everybody did, reading for all, success for all. Success for all. And so some of the teachers that have been here from the very beginning still use components of that. But I have an instructional coach who happens to also be the bilingual ELD and teaching all the other subjects. I had asked her to create a 5-day, like a 5-day RTI style of like what the first
For
part of your,
reading?
yes, for reading. So the first part of the, the time you're doing reading, the second part you're doing reading skills. The thing is like, so with Ames Pathway, they're teaching our secondary teachers all these components of science of reading because they don't teach explicitly like skills on all these things, and the expectation is that we read, you follow along, and our goal is to make sure that you're prepared for high school and beyond. So last year was the first year where 6th grade had to do it. And so 4 of our teachers completed it and it was really challenging, but it really helped them. Mr. Bittner, for example, Mr. Blea, I had a special ed teacher, Mr. O will be doing it next year. But basically they learned, it was like the short version of like science of reading for primary, but it's meant specifically for secondary. Oh, and Miss Montes, she was also part of, and Miss Martinez. So we had a lot of them. So the first group went last year, so it's a 1-year professional development. And then this year I'm signing up the rest of our teachers. So there's gonna be a second cohort. So my goal is that the people that did the first group, the first cohort of that will be able to teach like have trainings, like short little things on what, even though our second group of cohort of teachers are going to be going through it, to hear from their people and how they, or from their colleagues, and then hear how they've been able to implement some of those things into their classroom, I think will be really beneficial. And I think I have to attribute the Ames Pathway also to the success of like the reading for our kiddos, and truly it is just skill gaps. That's really what it is. It's not about watering down your standards. It's not about, teaching them 3rd grade. So it's just learning.
Explicit
Yes.
instruction, skill, yeah.
Well, and on top of that, sorry, I'm not looking over here, miss. Sorry. But on top of that, what we did in January, so we've been doing IXL for reading intervention or for math intervention since the beginning of this school year. So when I wrote the 90-day plan, that was one of the critical actions that we would do for RTI. In January, we talked about the arena in IXL. And so the arena is a specific plan specifically for that kid. And I do believe that also that played a really big role in being able to close some of their own skill gaps. And then being able to be aware of where their gaps are.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Will any of like that more like, I guess you could say train to trainer or like say peer-to-peer, but I guess professional to professional opportunity be happening and like, I know you're trying to develop PLCs slowly. Will that occur in that space?
So what I did for second semester in our 90-day plan is I told my instructional coach I wanted us to do pineapple walkers. So historically, some of our teachers have been teaching in silos. and they have never really observed each other teach. And so as a teacher, I really learned most when I watched my peers. And vice versa, them coming in a very non-judgmental way and just telling me the things that they like, things that they want to do, and like learn from each other. So we had a pineapple walkthrough sign-up sheet, and so my instructional coach was the one that kind of supported that. But the vision that I have for seeing each other, like, yes, talking about it, but also going into those classrooms to see exactly what they just learned. I think there was a very positive feedback when we completed the pineapple walkthroughs, even with teachers that I didn't, that we were just, like, they were all excited. They were just different, And we have years of experience here. We have a lot of resources within our space, and it's just about creating the space to, learn from one another.
And realizing,
Yeah,
because if you're teaching in silos, then you don't realize, like what you have, what it can do for somebody else, and then vice versa, like what they have, what struggle you're going through that like, oh, I actually, we learn from each other's mistakes and successes, and it's not a good or bad thing, it's just like a cool thing, yeah.
yeah. So that's the vision to kind of, kind of walkthroughs.
Could you
Yeah, I
just
like
real
that. I
quick,
was just curious.
pineapple walkthroughs, just like a quick definition or like
Basically, it's you going into another classroom and observing your peer. That's kind of just that, like, the easiest way to explain it is just that.
is pineapple like a name that you gave it, or is it like a thing?
It's a term.
Oh, okay,
It's a term,
okay.
but the easiest way I just explain it is you're just going in and seeing each
The
other.
first time I ever heard it, I was reading it from you. I have no idea what that is, but I'm like, I can make something up.
I can't read the exact definition.
No. It's so analytical. No, awesome, update. Does anybody have any other questions for Crystal?
Not at this time.
And then Crystal, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? You can think of? Okay. Very, very good, thank you. We'll move now to our action items, which is actually going to be 6. So 6.1, the finance report and consider approval of the financial statements. During our finance meeting, I'm not sure if Justine is on, but, and then we also just have one bar, but the next reports are going to be due July 7th. Justine is going to submit everything before the 4th of July weekend or holiday. And none of our funds are set to be in the negative or anything like that. We're in really good standing. And also the facilities master plan capital outlay, it was $34,000. That will be paid on Monday, so we won't lose that little bit of our capital outlay funds. So, which is really good. Is there anything else that you wanted to add on to that, Justine? Yeah. Excellent. So if I could get an approval, or if you all are still looking at the financials,
I will motion to approve the financial report.
I will second it. We'll do roll call. Brittany Butternuss, yes. Bernadette Fritz.
Yes.
Melissa Toledo. Thank you. Rios Fernandez
Yes.
and Charlotte Trujillo.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Great. Motion passes, and we do have just one bar. Justine, if you want to explain that to us, the bar. Perfect, so I will make a motion, to approve the bar, ending in 0034I.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, Brittany Bananas, yes, Bernadette Reeds,
Yes.
Melissa Toledo, Rios Fernandez,
Yes.
and Charlotte Trujillo.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Bye.
Aye. Great. Motion passes. And next, we've been discussing the bylaws for a while, and we have sections or pages 1 through 7, sections 1 through 8, that we were talking about possible changes. Shar, do you want to say anything more on this? Just because I think you probably know more on that.
I mean, really, it was kind of updating a lot of things. I think some of the bigger, more important things were, regarding the election and the terms of the offices, or the officers, which in the bylaws themselves, let me see if I can get the requirement that each councilman, sorry,
I think it's a 1-year term,
yes, thank you.
and I think that it's a maximum of 2 consecutive. So we've basically got to figure out how do we become compliant with that, and then also decide, does that work for us?
Yeah,
I feel like once a year, to be honest, is maybe not, one year is maybe not enough time to actually grow into the role, even to understand it maybe. I would suggest a 2-year,
10 years is.
I mean,
Just kidding.
with a cap.
Capacity there.
I mean, but
Well,
do we have to have, do we feel like we have to have a cap on the consecutive years?
I don't necessarily think there needs to be a cap, I guess, but.
I don't feel like there needs to be, I mean, maybe 10 years is the cap. I don't know, I mean, I've known some schools that have had the same chair for over 10 years. Some of it's been fine, some of it's not fine, you know,
Right.
some of it can,
Right.
it can get a little, but I think, I agree, the 2-year, I think we should have at least a 2-year
Okay.
term. And maybe it is that, 5 consecutive.
I think it doesn't
Or
make it
not.
that bad when everybody's contributing.
So that's what I was just gonna say.
Because I
Yeah.
think, I probably did it for 9 years. And there were levels of contribution from different people, and there were some that were just on a list of,
Right.
being a part of the board, but I think it makes a big difference when everybody's contributing, when everybody's working.
Right.
I feel like this has been a really good working board. I feel like we've all been contributing, and so I like that, but in years past, it has not been that way, and it all falls on the shoulders of the president, which is not cool, so.
I could say that I feel like I felt that, but during like the end of your tenure as chair, it definitely felt that way. So if we, I think that there just needs to be, maybe an evaluation, once a year or something where we're able to.
I
to read
feel
over
like,
the
But
picture.
it's in the bylaws too, that everybody, like, this should be a working board, everybody does need to, I thought I read something in there
Yeah,
that
it is, but I think that it's,
expectations
it's-
around a role, right, like why we're doing what we're doing. How everybody should.
but the accountability piece is like, how do we remind each other of that without it being another thing for the chair or Shar to take on? Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
But I think that definitely, maybe we don't even have to have a cap if we just had a better like support structure, but in the bylaws so that we have it to fall back on and it's not just everybody's with the same understanding. But I was talking about like a rotation, like an automatic rotation so that everybody is maybe ready for like a position at all times, but I don't know if that's even like germane, I don't know if we can have that as a bylaw. And I don't know how you all feel about that, but
Yeah, I think that there should be some sort of, framework that we all have some role at some point, right? I think whether that role has to be chair or not, I don't know how we would. I would be afraid that if maybe you got somebody and then their time comes up and they're like, you have to be chair next year, and they're like, I'm resigning.
They run automatic, right
I'm
on
out.
time, yeah.
Yeah,
well, I've seen different levels of this board. I know that Melissa's, I know that, you know, so it's like, how do we have something that's broad that would work for all different styles of board that I've seen?
right.
Which, yeah, I think that there were times when maybe we wouldn't have had a board if we would have had certain, so I don't know.
And I don't know, I agree with you, Bernadette, I feel like if the board is functioning and the people in the positions are okay with the people in the positions and they're getting the support that they need, maybe we just kind of fill in and out
I
of
feel
how
like we
things
did a
like
really
that.
good job with that just for Crystal's evaluation.
Yeah,
And like sending out surveys, like who's
yeah.
gonna do this, who's gonna do this, like everybody has something to contribute. Like Rios is like, why don't you put it in the doc? I'm like, oh, great idea, right? Like I think that everybody had a rule.
I didn't have to.
Whereas
It was smooth.
I didn't have a computer before, I had a handwritten, I've written everything. But I think like, I felt like in the past.
Here it is.
I know. Everybody had surveyed it. Calculating it. But it's helpful because before it would just be like, here, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
And it's not, I don't
Well,
feel like
I
it should
think-
fall on one person to do, especially when we're evaluating.
I think also too, some of us just take on because nobody else does, and we need to be mindful of that, not to do that as well. So it's hard to balance, but I don't feel at this time that we need to have any kind of cap or anything like that. That might not be this same 2 years from now,
Right,
right?
right.
I think that, to your point, Brittany, I think the board really needs to find an annual an annual retreat. We need to do
Oh,
an
yeah,
annual
yeah.
working session where we look at everything and we self-evaluate. And there are a lot of people that facilitate that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is money for the board
Yeah.
to do those kinds of things. Instead of paying for certain workshops, we could do that. I think that that's probably a really big piece that's missing that really could help us to see, okay, who's carrying the load, and who's doing all this or who's not.
When do you think would be a good time for something like that? Do you think that like a full school year and then maybe like during the summer months would be like a good time for us to like focus on any kind of like restructure or anything for the board? Or do you think that because there's other restructuring going on that we're kind of focused on during the summer months, maybe it would be a better?
And in our bylaws, we do have elections were supposed to be done in January.
I think it's, I know it's
Or
January,
February.
February, I think, yeah,
And we're doing them next month, I guess,
Right.
but yeah, I think that the summer months are overwhelming. You get test scores, you got the evaluation, you got all kinds of stuff going on, so it might be best if we maybe we do have the election in July, but the person doesn't take over until the following year,
or like
Shadow
our
or,
first meeting of the school year or something.
which would be July.
Yeah, and I think that might,
That's their fiscal year, so.
oh, that's
Ideally,
true.
it would be July, like we're doing now. So it'd be changing the election date or month to July instead of February.
And then we can have that, like, the election, but then also maybe before that, do like some kind of a retreat where we're able to evaluate stuff and maybe move a little bit more organized, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and I
So
think
that
it
we already
depends
know
on
something's coming.
what's going on in the school
Fair,
too, like
fair.
what. I'm saying like in our roles, like there were years where it was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it was just the same old, we're doing the same thing. And then there were moments where it was complete chaos and we're trying to keep the school doors open and
Yeah.
there was a lot.
That's,
So
that's very true.
I almost feel like if a lot of that wouldn't have happened, I would have probably continued on, but it was like a lot. And then you got a lot with the other stuff.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
Yeah.
it just depends, I guess,
You're right.
what's happening around the school because some of it was really big stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And we also lost the whole board at one point, except for me. But we can also look to other schools that were in like crisis situations that lost every single board member. So learning off of like what we've been through, also what other schools have been through, creating like a more supportive system, I think is, we're just, everybody has a part.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't necessarily have to rotate, but everybody's part is clear, if that makes sense. But I think that sometimes it's super unclear. Even as chair, when I first became chair, I think it
Well,
was super unclear what my role
Right,
was.
and until we sit down and have that conversation as a board, we
Right.
get what's worked, what hasn't, or
Right.
where are our gaps,
Yeah.
then I think then we can define those roles, right? I I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think, like a retreat is a good space to do that, because.
And since we would have a quorum, is a retreat something that we would, it's
called
still
working,
public?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not sure, we would have to look. I know we would have to advertise it, and it's not
it would be like no,
non-voting, or there's no.
non-voting, there's no like
like,
decisions
action.
being made, no action items.
It's just a working session.
And I'll ask Sean Fry how to state that, just really, he does board trainings.
Just like the PEC.
Yeah,
And that wouldn't be a bad idea either, is to get somebody like Sean Fry to come and do the board. You know,
he does like,
Mhm.
just
Oh, yeah.
he does like
overview,
finance 101, like with boards.
You know,
and
some of those
directives.
things I think we really need to.
we did one of those once, and it was, I think, super beneficial.
Yeah,
And he
Super
just
beneficial.
knows like all the like rules around how, like whenever I'm like, ooh, let me ask him, he's like, nope, you can't do that, or yeah, you can, or you guys are in your right
Is
to
he
like.
who does the trainings or some of the trainings?
He's the
Oh, no.
business manager at my school,
Oh, okay.
but he's,
I heard the name.
he's a director of operations at my school, but
Okay.
he also does training, and he's also board, their business manager at Albuquerque School of Excellence and the one with the pilots, what is it, Sam?
oh, yes.
Yes, he does business management for both of those.
Sounds.
Sam's
It
accounting.
used to be Sam's, it's not Sam's anymore. Aeronautics.
Well,
What do you have school?
maybe, I don't know, but yeah, he does for both.
Yeah.
But he's just a wealth of knowledge.
Right now. Just what?
So 2-year term for sure, and then elections in July.
Is that too short notice for us to do a
No, but
retreat in July?
You wanted,
Like, do you guys feel, because I think that would be a good,
What does a retreat look like? Like, what is,
a working meeting, I
just
think.
like for a few, like a day, like we're spending a day here? Is it where it's a board
That doesn't sound very
meeting?
retreat-like.
We're gonna like
I'm thinking palm trees.
bring
uh,
lunch, have lunch served.
So I don't like the word retreat, actually,
Yeah.
because it's so broad.
and maybe it is just a working session.
That's,
And I
yeah.
think, but I also think that, I think July might be too soon. I think we should do the election, in my opinion, I think we should have the elections, or we just had elections, right, last year, or I guess, did we?
Yeah, but, I mean, with the current bylaws,
Okay. just
we're
start.
not doing it in compliance.
So we'll have the election and maybe we schedule a retreat for like August or September.
Yeah,
That way we can
Okay,
work
okay.
through the year of
Okay.
like kind of figuring out, all right, or the next 2 years, put in a strategic plan for the next 2 years and then plan out like what's gonna happen after the next. It's probably more of a strategic planning
And
than
then
anything else.
so we will do elections in July. And, can you go over the, what is it, the officers or roles or whatever, just so that we know, And people, you could be nominated and you can nominate yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think you could self-nominate,
Yeah,
or somebody could nominate you and you would vote on it.
so in the bylaws right now, we have a chair and vice chair. Those are the only two leadership positions. But later on down the line, there's some confusion and it talks
Yep.
about the past chair.
Yep.
So,
Which from what I remember, it was titled past chair. And what we tried to do, one of the changes that we did a couple of years ago was change past chair to vice chair. That way it wasn't, after your 10 years, now
Now
you
you
start a
gotta
whole
be the
new
vice
cap
chair.
and it's vice chair. Like,
yeah,
I think that that's a significant, that might stop somebody from wanting to do it, you
yeah,
know?
I agree, we can do that, definitely. I think we brought it up in one of those, why do we have a past chair, why isn't it?
And it's not consistent in our bylaws right now. Sometimes it
Right.
says past, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly, so all uniform, make all that uniform. It just says officers at school council, yeah, past chair. There are officers, officers of the school council may be a chair, a past chair, and a secretary/treasurer. School may, by a majority vote, create different categories of officers, and maybe that's something we can discuss.
So yeah,
When we have that strategic plan. It's
when
like,
everyone's an
what
officer,
offices do we need?
right, right.
But it says all officers are elected by a majority vote of the council. Officers serve for one term. And be limited to a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. I don't think we should limit,
No,
remove the limit.
if things are working smoothly, why change it, you know?
The limit.
One thing to think about if we are creating like officer specific positions, that means that unless we have full attendance of a meeting, what happens when those positions aren't present?
Right,
Like
right,
we will still have a quorum, but
right.
then what occurs, yeah.
So that's why I was thinking like, maybe we don't have to have an automatic rotation, but every member should know what the secretary role looks like. And what's expected from a vice chair or a chair sort of setting. And probably have the experience of like running a meeting. And I'm sorry, Melissa, I just wanna make sure to check in with you that you could hear us and then what do you have anything to add? Or when you were looking at the bylaws, anything that you flagged or anything? Thank you. So we would or would not be able to make bylaw changes at a retreat or a working meeting?
We can make S, we just
Suggestions,
suggested that
And
it's.
then make it.
Fine, okay.
Yeah, and I agree, Melissa, I think that it would be better spent in a strategic plan or a working session to look at the bylaws. It's just that we've been talking about it for so long that we
Yeah.
really needed to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
So, Rios had a great suggestion when it came to like evaluations, which is like throw it into a Google Doc. And then if and when you have a suggestion, we would be able to, and then we would have it all and not necessarily where everybody's available at the same time to discuss it, but there's still like ongoing conversation around it. Do you think that would be good? Because it's true, Shar, it's one of those things that like, I feel like gets put off because it doesn't feel like, an urgency. but we can see some inconsistencies in our bylaws that we do need to change, and so I think that it's like becoming more of a, a need.
Yeah,
I like the idea of a retreat, but I think that, elections and retreat in 1 month is too much.
too much.
Yeah,
I agree.
let's do our
I'd say
elections
July,
July.
September, August, September, we'll get the NASA back, probably we'll have beginning of the year,
We
can
could
look
even
at
say
things like
fall
that.
time.
Yeah.
Like, and then
Fall.
whenever it feels like it's needed, or that we're like ready to have a retreat or a meeting.
Yeah.
There's no palm
Just
trees.
an annual review.
Yeah, or an
Annual
evaluation.
Working session.
Cool.
And thank you, Rios, for all the technical edits. I know there's a couple of things that Rios brought up that I'll throw out there later on. And I'll just get, like I said, sections 1 through 8 done, and then we can talk about the next part.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Okay. So the next thing on our agenda, so we won't actually approve anything today, right? It's for it was just a discussion. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then that way we can do changes at the same time, okay. So the next thing that we will do is go into executive session, for our executive director evaluation and contract negotiations discussion. So what we've done in the past is we've left the streaming going, and then we go into another room, and Melissa, one of us will just be on the phone with Melissa.
Yeah, we'll
Is that
have you on
what you're
speaker. Yeah, just mute yourself here, Melissa, so that your phone conversation isn't on the other, in the executive session.
And we get to decide who participates in the executive session. We have Crystal's self-evaluation. We've all done evaluations, and we have a ton of info. Does anybody have any thoughts on whether Crystal would be invited to all or any of the executive session?
I feel like the first part, maybe we as a board meet first, and then we'll call you and Crystal when we're ready spaghetti. You could just sit here and watch the live stream. I'm just kidding.
By
Zoom in on
myself.
yourself.
Yeah. Walk back and forth so the camera can follow you. All right, I motion to move into executive session. Is that what we're supposed to say?
With the board only.
With the board.
With the board members, okay.
I second.
Is there any opposition? Motion passes.
Okay.
Okay, because I know that that's the thing, if there's opposition, then you do it.
We'll be right back. Well, we'll call you. We'll call you.
Are you just gonna head to my desk?
Or Nora's little room, can we use that one?
That one's locked.
Okay. It doesn't matter, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
My room is open.
Okay.
Okay.
Michelle.
Don't judge. It's a little gritty.
Oh, shit, see.
I have to use it.
From me.
That'll happen next.
Just
I get it.
Just fine.
No sweat.
You probably should mute the live stream too anyways, just in case, but, and then make sure Melissa's muted.
Thank you, guys.
Make sure Melissa's muted.
Okay, we are back.
So we will, vote to come out of, executive session and, all matters that were, discussed in our executive session are considered, posted to the agenda.
So I'll make a motion to, come out of executive session.
All second,
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, and I just wanted to announce that, Bernadette is, had to leave early, but Brittany Barreras, yes. Melissa Toledo, Rios Fernandez,
yes.
and Charlotte Trujillo.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. While we were in, executive session, we did decide, that we were going to offer, Crystal a contract for the 2026-2027 school year. It's not typed up or anything, but we will get that, signed and, executed before July 1st, on or before July 1st. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
I don't have any announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
No, just a quick training reminder.
Oh, yes, okay.
yeah.
And then, Melissa, do you have any update real quick on your, trainings? If you get it done before July 1st, like basically by the end of this month, it's because that way we won't get that audit, because we've already got dinged on an audit twice, yeah. No, perfect, thank you so much.
Next meeting?
Our next meeting, oh, I forgot to-
Oh,
our next meeting would
it's
be,
here, right?
July 29th, is that right?
The fourth.
Oh, wait,
Yeah, 20.
oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking. Okay, July 22nd, we will have our finance meeting at 4:00 and then followed by our regular GC meeting, at 5.
Excellent.
Okay, the time is 7:11 and, this meeting is adjourned.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa. Bye.